All right, class, what I wanted to do, and you're my 9:30 PS 105, is I wanted to post a quick video that's going to be dealing with the ideology, the belief quiz that I had given y'all about 2 weeks ago now. And just to wrap this up and to make sure that everything was clear on it. If you remember, I had given you a series of questions. And if you'll remember on this, basically these were questions that were going to be dealing with bedroom issues or moral issues. And they were going to be dealing with wallet issues or economic ones. And we pretty much covered this, but I did want to hit on a couple of things to basically just make sure that you were clean with all of this. And I'll just take it category by category. For the purposes of this quiz, the conservatives are going to believe in regulating morals or bedroom issues, and they're going to believe that government should stay out of wallet or economic issues. And if you remember, Harry, Dante, Tiffany, and Seabass, all of you had actually scored as conservatives on this. So with this in mind, conservatives are going to believe that the government should stay out of people's wallet or economic or money issues. You should earn your keep, but you should also keep ultimately what you're going to earn. Conservatives are going to believe that there are certain moral practices that frankly should be forbidden. So when you think about it, gay marriage would be a really, really good example of this. School prayer would be one of those traditional ideas that should be kept. So conservatives are going to believe in allowing people to actually pray in the public schools, or at least allowing them that option if it's not required, because some would actually require it. When you think about economic issues, conservatives are going to believe that people should make their way in their own way in the world. So the idea is that are they going to necessarily be in favor of giving assistance to people buying their first home? No, not really. Are they going to believe that government should control the price of gas? No, frankly, not really. The market should dictate or should determine these things, and the more that government gets involved, the more that it screws things up. If you remember from class, we've been talking about this. Conservatives generally are going to believe in preserving or conserving what it is that exists. And the article example that I had given you of conservatives was actually the Jim Crow laws. So take a good look at that article as you consider this idea of conservatism. Now, the opposite of conservative is actually going to be liberal. And we talked about this in class, but just as a quick refresher on this. Liberals are going to believe very strongly in regulating wallet issues. They are also going to believe that the individual or government should stay out of moral or bedroom ones. So with this in mind, when you're talking about moral issues, gay marriage, that's not government's issue. That's a personal decision. Weed is a personal decision. That's something that government should not necessarily be a part of. School prayer is a personal decision, and government should not actually, when you think about it, government should not be mandating this because, in fact, if you allow some prayer, you're ultimately going to be alienating or isolating others. Let people do this on their own. When it comes to wallet issues, though, what you end up seeing is that, in fact, is that government should do more. It should do more to help those that don't have enough, and it should make sure that people don't have too much at the expense of those that don't have enough. So liberals are going to believe much more strongly in taxing people at a higher percentage if they make more income. They're going to believe in helping people buy their first homes if, in fact, they would not be able to afford it or be able to basically complete this purchase if it was just on their own merits. Liberals are going to believe in getting involved in this. And just as a key point from that outline, Liber, if you remember, means free. So liberals are going to believe very strongly in personal, bedroom, moral type freedoms, but they're going to believe in providing economics so that people are going to be able to enjoy those freedoms. They're going to believe in those economic regulations. Now, just as a really quick point on this, what you'll notice over here is that the closer that you are to the center, the more moderate your views are. And what you'll also notice on this is that the further away you are, in fact, the stronger your views are. So when you look at this, Corey, you're pretty moderate in terms of economic issues, although you're a good, solid, moral liberal when you put this into context. And Tora, I believe we covered in class, you're very strongly in terms of a liberal in both economic and moral issues. 6 of the 7 questions you believed in more liberal type answers. But several of you even went beyond Antora. And Daniel M., you are going to be the prime example of this. if you notice on this, Daniel, on 7 of the 7, along with Leonore, you believe the government should not regulate moral issues, it should be personal decisions. On 6 of the 7, you believe that government should regulate economic issues, Daniel, which is very different than what Leonore said. You, Daniel, are probably the strongest liberal in the class. Max Q is actually going to give you a run for this, though. Because, Daniel, if you are the strongest in terms of moral liberalism, Max Q is actually much stronger in terms of economic liberalism, because he was a perfect 7 for 7 in terms of the government regulating economic issues. He was actually, though, only 5 of 7 in terms of morals. Very, very strong liberal on economic issues, but a good solid liberal in terms of moral ones. What you'll see as far as liberals are concerned is that if you are a very strong liberal, you really begin to venture into this idea of communism as well. Now, Daniel, I'm not saying that you are communist. Max Q, you might be a little bit closer to that, but the idea is that the extreme form of liberal begins to get into this communist, this socialist type of an ideal. So keep that in mind. One of the other pieces that are up here, and just to bounce back to conservative, same kind of thing. The further away that you are, the stronger that your views are. And Seabass, you're a good, solid conservative, which doesn't surprise me too much. But you're only solid. You're not as extreme as some of the others that are on the screen. An extreme conservative, believe it or not, is actually going to begin to approach a little bit of Nazism. Not exact, but if you go back and you look at old Hitler's Germany, in Hitler's Germany, they were regulated within an inch of their lives, which would seem to equate to this idea of bedroom or, morality type regulations. Having said this, if you did what you were told in Hitler's old Germany, you were going to make a hell of a lot of money. So with this in mind, they did not provide nearly the regulation or the social safety nets in terms of wallet. It's not exact, just like the socialist communist idea isn't, but something to keep in mind. I had mentioned to you populists in class, and I hated this because Bianca was not there that day, but there's only one populist. Populists believe that government can make better decisions for people than people can make for themselves. So basically what we're saying is that government is going to attempt to regulate both economic issues, and they're going to attempt to regulate moral issues as well. Government can make better decisions than the people can make for themselves. There's a thought out there that when you think about it, populists believe in helping the little man, helping Joe and Jane six-pack, if you will. And the argument is that without government's help, Joe and Jane six-pack are either not going to be able to take care of themselves, or they're not going to stand up to big business or other forces out there that could conceivably corrupt them or hinder them a little bit. So with this in mind, Bianca, you, on 6 of the 7 questions, believed in regulating monetary or wallet issues, so you're a very strong populist in that regard. Having said this, on 4 of the 7, you believe that government should regulate morals. So depending upon the issue, Bianca, you believe that government should step in and get involved in some moral issues. There are some things that people need to be told to do or be prevented from doing. Having said this, it's almost 50-50. You're just leaning populist. You're very moderate in that regard. Now, the other piece to this, and with populists, we don't really have somebody that's going particularly far away. But if you are a very strong populist, you begin to get into dictatorial type issues or control issues. So Bianca, with this in mind, you're our only populist. This would seem to suggest that at least moderately you have control issues. I'd be curious to hear what your friends and maybe boyfriends, whatever, would think or say in regards to this. Last category, and this is the one that we did not get into in class. You folks. There are some folks like populists that believe in regulating everything, and then there's this bottom quadrant down here that frankly believes in regulating nothing. This bottom quadrant believes, like the conservatives, that government should stay out of wallet issues. This bottom left-hand quadrant also believes, like the liberals, that government should stay out of morals. If you believe that government should basically stay out, the government that governs best is the one that governs least, you folks are what are known as my libertarians. My libertarians. Libertarians believe that individuals should be able to rise and fall on their own merits. Libertarians believe that, in fact, when you look at government, the government that governs best is the one that governs least. And they're going to believe in freedom, not just in terms of wallet issues like the conservatives, and not just in terms of economic issues like the liberals, but they're going to believe in freedom of both of these ideas. Now, if you look at this, here we are, Amanda T, Martin, and Amanda J. You three actually all scored 4 of 7. So frankly, if you change one question, Amanda T, Martin, Amanda J, you could end up in any of these 4 quadrants, but you're leaning libertarian. If you look at this, Max I down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Max I, on 6 of the 7, you believe that government should stay out of moral issues, but in fact, on 4 of the 7, you believe that government should stay out of the wallet issues. So in fact, Amanda, Martin, Amanda J, Claudia, and Max I, all of you believe the same way in terms of economics. The difference is that the Amandas and Martin up here believe in more moral regulation. Max I, you believe in less, and Claudia, you're right in between. One last one, Himanshu. On 6 of the 7 questions, Himanshu, you believe that government should stay out of economics. On 6 of the 7, you believe that government should stay out of morals. Himanshu, you are the strongest libertarian in the class. And as we draw this line on down here, an extreme form of a libertarian is what is actually going to be known as an anarchist. And an anarchist is going to believe in the complete absence of government. If you get an exam question that basically says, who in the class is most likely to be an anarchist, Himanshu, that would be you. Folks, good luck on the first exam on Thursday.